We are live. Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello.
I see already people joining in. Where's everybody coming from? Feel free to say hi in the chat. Lucky man to be in Portugal. I see Cosmina. Thank you, yes. Hello from Mexico, Fernanda. Okay. Filipe, will you
Can I
go
start?
ahead?
Or
Start.
should we
Yes.
wait? Okay, so let's start.
Let's go.
Hello, everybody. My name is Filipe, and I'm here today with Rui. So we work for Altar, and basically I will talk also a little bit about Altar. But first, introducing myself. So my name is Filipe. I'm an entrepreneur in residence at Altar. And we have here Rui, that is our AI expert, AI product expert at Altar. And yeah, today's session will be with Rui. He's the expert, and I'm really excited to watch this session. Before that, talking about Altar, so Altar is this product and software development house that is committed to help entrepreneurs all over the world to develop and launch their products as soon as possible to the market. And so we help dozens of projects for now more than 9 years. And so in 9 years, many things changed in the world. And one of the biggest ones was, of course, AI. So most of the projects that we help today are AI projects or somehow related with AI. And of course, we use AI tools every day in our jobs. And that's one of the reasons why we decided to create not only this webinar, but the webinar series. So this is the first but not the last webinar. And we decided to create this to help other startup founders to navigate this AI world and help them to leverage and succeed with AI tools. And so I don't know anybody better than Rui to talk about this. And so I would like to introduce him to the session. Just one final mention. We have Q&A chat right there on the right. At least for me, it's on the right of the screen. You can leave your questions there during the session. And then at the end, we will answer some of your questions, all of your questions. Of course, leave us any message there in the chat, but you have a specific chat for only Q&A, and you can leave your questions there. So that's it, I believe. So it's up to you, Rui.
Thank you, Filipe. Thank you. I'm very excited for this first webinar, and thank you all for coming and being here. And today we're going to be talking about large language models and how, as a startup founder, as an entrepreneur, you can leverage them for your business to automate processes in your company, to live a life that is less operations and more having the systems work for you, and that you can focus on the parts of your business that you really enjoy, that are perhaps more creative. When I look at the tools, all the tools that are out there, all these AI tools, I feel sometimes like this monkey who got into a tool shack, and I'm figuring out what each of these tools is useful for in my life. And it's a reminder that every tool is only useful as much as I can put it towards a purposeful application. If it can improve my life, if it can help me manage my business in a better way, if it can free up time for me. And also with the evolution of AI, I sometimes feel like this ancestral being kind of coming to a very advanced world and figuring out, how everything works. And so I thought of bringing this little monkey as an analogy today. A little bit about myself. over the last 7 years, I have been working with AI in different roles, in different industries, company sizes. And in this journey, I've launched a couple startups with products that were enabled by AI. And today I feel honored to be presenting this webinar as part of Altar team. And also, I see that some of the people here in the audience have come from the Mind Valley AI Mastery community. So hello to the Mind Valley community, and which is another role that I have the honor to be part of. And so today I am the monkey who has played with a little bit of tools and is here to present to you what I've learned, what I can see as applications for business, as I have been in the shoes of a startup founder for a couple times. And as part of Altar, I help startup founders launch new products and leverage AI for their business. So without further ado, my mission for today is to teach you about these 4 things. And actually, as I was crafting this presentation, it became clear that today was too short to go through all of these topics. Talk about language models, the toolkits around the language models, things like CustomGPTs and actions, and the APIs that are available for the models, vector stores, building workflows for business that integrate the large language models that we see today with day-to-day tools like the email, the Google Drive, the Sheets, and also touch use cases. It's quite a mission. And so what I will do is I'll cover the first part of this mission today, and then in 3 weeks, we will have the next webinar where I'll cover the second part. And yeah, today we'll focus on large language models and the toolkits around them. We'll focus on ChatGPT and Claude and how to leverage them best. And then we'll focus on APIs and more advanced topics in the next webinar. In this webinar, I'll focus on 2 specific toolkits. I'll focus on ChatGPT and Claude, knowing that there are other models out there. There's Gemini, there's Meta's Llama, and there are many other large language models. However, for today, I will focus on these 2, which are competing. They're leading tools, and whatever we learn today, I believe that can be transferred to other solutions. And this little monkey is going to start with prompting. So for those of you who know already the tools and have been playing with them, for especially as models have been getting better, and if you've been doing it for a few months, you've seen how prompting can really change the quality of your results. So I'm going to start by giving you a few guidelines for prompting. And starting by the anatomy of a prompt. Prompt has a context, needs a context, a role, an action, and an output. If you meet someone on the street and you need a direction, you'll provide some context of where you're trying to go. If you have a new hire in your company, you need to give him a role and a set of actions that this person should be doing to meet your expectations. And so the same with the prompt. If you want a certain response, you want to give it context, a role, an action, and the type of output that you are looking for. A few prompting techniques or best practices. First, be specific. We want to be as specific as possible so that the outcome matches our desired outcomes. Order matters. meaning that if you have something that is really important that you want to get out of this prompt, then you want to mention it early on in the prompt, especially for very large prompts. It can be the case even as context windows get bigger. It can be the case that for a very big prompt, the bottom parts of the prompt will get less relevance, and the model will not perform as well. So starting with key points, and then reinforcing key points. If there's something you really want the model to do, maybe you can tell it to do that specific thing twice. Using delimiters is a very good practice. An example, if you are providing an example to the model, you can just use these triple quotes and provide the example in the middle. If you set a variable that you want, let's say you're asking the model to write an email and you want a specific variable like a title or a name of the client to be set as a variable, then you can use curly brackets, and you can use these little arrows also as delimiters or setting variables. And all of these are things that will improve the quality of the output, because the model will understand better not only a wall of text, but a text that is in a way more digestible. And in that direction, also using Markdown. If you haven't heard of Markdown, it's a simple way to use text that includes headings. And the way you define these headings is a hashtag for an H1, 2 hashtags for H2, 3 hashtags for H3, and simple text for a paragraph. And in this way, if you're giving, say, a document to ChatGPT or a prompt and you have certain headers, then ChatGPT knows what is relevant and how to split different pieces of content. In the same way that you would not write a blog post all in plain text without headers for the reader to be able to understand what parts of the blog post are relevant, or what parts of the text are part of a certain header, then it makes sense to also do that for a model. So using Markdown improves quality a lot. And now I will give you a couple frameworks or a couple more notions of prompting. One of them is chain of thought, which is in essence asking the model to think step by step. One example here of a model that has been asked to perform a calculation just out of a prompt. So asking for the annual water demand for a single family household containing 4 people. They spend 200 days a year and 100 liters of water per day. And the model made a mistake and gave us a wrong answer. But if we suggest to the model, let's think step by step and explain the calculation step by step, instead of starting to write, it's going to take time to think and then provide the answer step by step, which will allow the model to be more accurate in the calculation and in the answer that it provides. So this is chain of thought. And then a final definition, which is useful, is the definition of zero-shot versus few-shot prompting, which is a complicated way of saying provide examples. And here, the example I am providing is for zero-shot. We have a prompt of asking the model to classify into categories whether a request is an auto insurance, flood insurance, or not relevant to insurance at all. And if we just ask it this way without providing examples, we don't know if the model is going to reply, this question is about auto insurance, or if it's going to reply just number 2, or if it's going to reply 2 auto insurance, we haven't given the model examples, so we can't expect the structure of the output to be consistent and to be what we are looking for. And so by providing examples, which is called few-shot prompting, then we can say that here's a pair of question and answer. Hey there, how do I choose flood insurance? And you want the answer to be 2. And so when you provide these examples, you provide consistency for the response. So this was it about prompting. It is a little bit theoretical. We're going to dive soon into demos, which is going to be more fun. So I hope I still have you and I still have your attention. But before that, I wanted to give you one framework that I enjoy for prompting, which is the ROADS framework, which is role, objective, details, examples, and sense check. And so providing a role, what is the model's role, and then what's the objective of the prompt, what are the details, providing examples. And then a sense check can be asking the model, do you understand what I'm asking of you? Is there any information that is missing that you need? And so this will allow the model to ask for more information if it needs, and it will force the model to review the question, make sure it understands. And it's giving the model time to think, which is something that it's been recently understood that is very needed for quality of response, is that the model has time to think and just doesn't provide the answer the fastest and potentially hallucinating in the response. Okay, so we went through prompting, lots of speaking. I'll have a little bit of water. I invite you to do the same. There's just a small set of definitions more, and then we'll go into demo. I hope you're enjoying it so far. So let's go with the last. Everything very clear so far. Thank you, Rita. So let's go into the next section, which is going straight into the different models. So today I'm going to demo ChatGPT's functionality and also Claude's functionality. So for ChatGPT, we'll go into the whole toolkit, into the latest features. We'll really dive in, and for Claude, the same. And before I close the presentation and go into demo, I just wanted to talk about latest models, which in the case of ChatGPT, they're also multimodal. So we've seen the latest releases going from GPT-4 to 4.0, which had this release saying that it was the Omni model. It was a model that was multimodal, meaning that it could take in the voice, it could take in text, image, and video, all of these things. And then there's been a few other models, the 0.1 preview that has been released, the 0.1 mini, there's still a 4.0 mini. So there's all these models. And you might ask yourself, why wouldn't I just choose the smartest model and not, why do I have these options? Why do I have so many options? And so today for ChatGPT, the 4.0 is what they say it's great for the most tasks. And they still have the GPT-4, which is legacy. It's not as good in terms of quality of results. It's heavier and it's more costly as well. And then you have the mini. And why would you want the mini? I will explain with Claude in a second. So if we look at the parallel with Claude, we see that they released a family of models, which has 3 models, which is the Haiku, Opus, and the Sonnet. 2 days ago, they released a new Haiku, which they announced the release. When I was doing the slides yesterday, it was still not available in the platform. Maybe it will be in the demo. Let's see. But the point which they explain as you open the tab to choose the model is that you have a most intelligent model, and then you have a fastest model for daily tasks. And when they released the Family 3, when Claude released Family 3, in the release there was this graph which I really enjoyed, which shows how the different models behave in a cost versus intelligence curve. So you don't always want a very intelligent model, because that's also going to be expensive. In the case of the Opus model, if I'm asking a model to help me write a PhD thesis and I want it to do some research, then I'm willing to pay €1 per or $1 per request, because I know it's going to write me a PhD thesis very well. This is an exaggeration, but if I'm asking it 2 + 2, I'm not willing to pay as much. It's a very simple request. I don't need so much intelligence for that one. So the companies are providing this range of models, which allows us to have smarter models, which are more costly, and at scale, this makes a difference. We could see, for example, the Opus being a scale of cost much more costly than the IQ, for example, or the Sonnet, and that will make a difference at scale. If we're doing thousands of requests per minute, then we'll see the costs go up. So water break, and then we go into demo. How's everybody doing so far? Do I still have your attention? Maybe if you can write in the chat. I see there's already a question from Rita. Nobody falling asleep. Now it's demo time, so it's going to be more interactive. If you'd like, you can open ChatGPT and Claude on the side, and as I'm sharing the tools, you can also do the same. I see some yeses, so cool, all good so far. Perfect. So now we're going to go into ChatGPT. And I'm going to do it in 3 chunks. I'm going to start by talking about memory and custom instructions. Then I will go into the latest features, which are Canvas and Search. And third, I'll go into knowledge and custom GPTs. So here I will stop the presentation. Oh, and I have these 4 monkeys to show you before I go into the demo, which was funny. As I was creating these monkey images for the presentation, I had I wanted consistency in the monkey. So I had a monkey image that I used for reference. And to explain memory, I wanted a monkey surrounded by books that was hard at the effort of learning. However, in the first generation, I forgot to give it the reference monkey. And so it generated an amazing set of pictures, but not with the monkey that I have been using for the presentation so far. And I thought this was an amazing analogy for memory, for the use of memory. If we want consistency, then we need to provide enough context. If we lack some context, we might have a great response. These are fantastic images, but just not with the monkey that I was looking for. So here's the importance of memory and having that knowledge be passed to the model for context, so that I get the response that I'm looking for. And so without further ado, let's go into demo time. I have the sun on my face, which I hope will be fine. Okay, so let's go to ChatGPT. And I said I will start by showing memory. So memory is a function. Oh, I need to move my camera. 1 second. Settings. Maybe I can move my camera there. Okay, perfect. So perfect, because I need to show you this. So the way to access memory is that you go to your accounts, little picture, and you go to, you have my plan, my GPTs, customize ChatGPT, and you have settings. You go to settings and personalization, and you have memory. And memory was a function that was released, I would say 3-4 months ago. I, in Europe, had access to it, I think, a couple months ago. And in essence, is a cross-population of chats. So whenever I'm chatting with ChatGPT in one conversation, in one chat, it will save little bits of my conversation. For example, I had a chat where I said, I'm giving a talk on using ChatGPT. So give me ideas, let's say. And it saved that little bit and stored to my memory. In one of my chats, I said, I prefer Linux commands over PowerShell. And so these are just small bits of information. But next time I have a chat about terminal and that I want some instructions, perhaps ChatGPT will come here and say and know that I prefer Linux commands over PowerShell. I didn't need to do anything, and it's going to provide me with Linux commands, knowing that. And it knows that I sometimes prepare a morning coffee, like a bulletproof coffee. It knows I'm diving deep into Airtable. So it knows a few things about me. If I don't want it to know something, then I can just go and forget this memory, and it won't influence future chats. However, it's a simple functionality. It doesn't change too much, but it can add a little bit of more information and more context for the model to be performing great and to give me the answers that I am looking for. Second, we're going to dive into custom instructions. And the way to find those is through you go to ChatGPT, you open your account, and you go to customize ChatGPT. And here you have 2 fields of things you can change. You could cut also here these capabilities, but you don't want to mess with those. You want to have code interpreter and all this, which now is only for a GPT-4. So I don't even have GPT-4 chats anymore. I usually just use 4.0. But the important thing is you can here tell ChatGPT some information about you, which will help to curate some of the answers. It will help provide extra context. In my case, say my name is Rui, I'm an engineer and product expert. As an engineer, perhaps, having the model know that I'm an engineer, it won't shy away of giving me code, let's say. So if it's providing a response to a prompt, maybe it will be different than if I say I'm a lawyer. Maybe if I'm a lawyer, it knows that I understand legal jargon, and so it can answer with legal jargon. So I say that I work with Altar Product Studio in Lisbon, Portugal. It helps founders launch products. I'm interested in the latest and greatest advances of technology. I want to understand how everything works. So here I say I want to understand how everything works. Hopefully the models will be answering to me with details, with explaining things. I don't want to have anything that I don't understand from the answers. And then I can also tune how I want ChatGPT to respond by providing very simple starters. I I ask it to be neutral in sensitive topics. Let's say there's something about politics. I want it to be neutral. I don't want ChatGPT to be opinionated. I want it to be clear, direct, and formal. Formal because mostly I use ChatGPT for work, so it can help me write articles. And if I want to change this, I can always change something in the prompt. But for now, I have these settings where every chat already has these by default. And I ask it to provide examples, provide references, and explain details. So that was custom instructions and memory. Let me go back to the chat. I hope this was useful. And then we will go into Canvas and search. These are very exciting updates, Canvas and search. So if you haven't tried Canvas, I highly recommend you to. This is a feature that is only available for Plus users. So if you don't have a ChatGPT Plus account, you won't be able to see what I'm seeing. But I do recommend getting one. I think it's super valuable for what it provides. And the way to select Canvas is that you come here to GPT-4o with Canvas and you select this model. And one use case that I found amazing for is writing articles. So I write articles about technology and AI and the advances of AI. And so I can really use Canvas to iterate on it. Actually, yesterday, I'm going to type something here for founders and inspired by a call I had yesterday, which someone asked, what's the best use for AI to create a pitch deck? And I answered, I would use Canvas as well. So let's say I want a pitch deck for a startup. And I need a startup idea very fast. So the startup, I'm going to use my last startup. So the startup leverages AI text to speech to narrate books and bring them to new language markets. So what you'll see in terms of behavior is that usually ChatGPT, you would prompt it and you would get a response, prompt, response, prompt, response. And that is you have a thread, right? But with Canvas, it has a different response, a different behavior, which is it opens this side window. And now you have something that you can iterate on with AI. It's very collaborative. And now I'm working on a pitch deck and it says, okay, I have a title slide, a problem statement, solution, market opportunity. I could even give, frameworks from investors or from startup accelerators of pitch decks that work, but I think it's doing really well in terms of the, usually it's title, problem, solution, market, product, business model, technology, validation, go-to-market. So it already knows pretty much what a good pitch deck looks like. And then it gives me, okay, for go-to-market strategy, partnerships with publishing houses and marketing channels, social media, influencer marketing. And the cool thing here is that I can write, I can say, okay, market validation, you have testimonials, pilot programs. Let's say we have 2,000 paid users. And then I can ask ChatGPT, I can select a portion and ask ChatGPT to do something here. I say expand on having paid users. and it's going to kind of continue to write on this. And then I can say, write a press release on the bottom of the pitch deck. Let's see what it does. So it maybe keeps my intention is that it keeps the big pitch deck structure, but then at the bottom it writes press release, right? Pretty cool. And then I have, versioning. I can say, I can grab this little piece, startup name, so I can give it more context. But it's a leader in audiobook technology and cutting edge AI text to speech. And I can come here and adjust the length or the reading level, add a final polish, add emojis. I can say add emojis to this one. And then it's just gonna rewrite with emojis. Oh, actually, it just rewrote. It didn't add emojis. It's replaced everything by emojis. So not exactly what I was looking for. So I can come back to the previous version, and I can change the length and say, actually, here I want you to make it very short. So as you can see, it's editable. It's easy to iterate with AI on an article, or if I have a new startup, I can have, it takes sometimes months to just refine what's that 30-second pitch for your startup, and having kind of you have this one document with all these 15 things, and you're refining that over time. Maybe having it here is useful, and you can keep iterating. You can give it more context. So that is Canvas, which I think is pretty cool. I will now start a new chat to show you what search looks like. At the moment, search does not work with Canvas. So you can see here it's not enabled. We can attach files, but we cannot use search. And also search is not available with the O1 model or the O1 mini or the GPT-4. It is available with the 4.0 mini. So that's interesting. But we'll use the standard 4.0. And what search enables, and actually if you prompt it and you don't need to click here, you can just say, I am writing an article about, what are we writing about? We're writing about the latest search capability of ChatGPT and how it is disruptive for the tech landscape. So you see here that it started with some searching the web, and now instead of just replying with a simple response, it has these paragraphs, but then it has a little button where it allows me to click and open a reference. So it shares with me how it created this paragraph and what informed it. And we see that key features, we have OpenAI, we have this Tom's guide was also something it used as a reference. So search now is working a little bit like Perplexity. And I believe search was launched last week or maximum 2 weeks ago. So these things are moving super fast, and new functionalities are coming almost every week. So it's a little bit hard to keep up, and hopefully this webinar will be useful for you in that regard. And this is similar to Perplexity. Yes, Cosmina, I was seeing like Jana say, it just made my day. Creation is possible because you're using Canvas. Okay, I'll tackle questions in the end. Otherwise, I'll take a little bit too long. My goal is that we'll do 1 hour, and then there will be time for Q&A. And I'm happy to stay for 30 more minutes if needed. But for now, I want to deliver as much value as possible. And so back to search, there's this capability of sources, which you can click, and it also tells you a list of sources that it used for the response. This is super cool. It's still not available as an API. If you already are an advanced user and know what APIs can be used for. But it is at the level of Perplexity in the sense that it provides references. It diminishes the risk for hallucination, which was a big risk for some of the models, because it provides references. So that's super cool. And I'm going to go into knowledge and custom GPTs. But before that, I just want to have a pass on the O1 preview model, because I want to show you the difference between the standard 4.0 model and the latest model, the O1 preview. And for this, I will share a use case for our audiobook startup. So let's say I am the founder of an audiobooks startup. And actually, I didn't want to say just that. So, but here I'm showing you why you don't want to use. So you see, I'm the founder of an audiobook startup, and it took 6 seconds to reply. We don't want that if time is very sensitive for our applications. We don't want to put the O1 preview model in a business critical thing, like someone clicks a button and it takes many seconds to get a response. This model is particularly good for it's kind of research level questions. So if I ask, I want you to calculate market size for audiobooks in the Nordic countries in native languages, as well as the growth per year of that market. So if I ask something harder to answer, then it's going to take time to think. And when it provides a response, it's going to provide a response that is a lot more detailed. It will consider different points of view. It takes longer to reply. It is more expensive also if you're using it via API. And you don't want it for every use case, but if you're doing research, it's very good solution. And what I can show you is that here it has this little button which says thought for 19 seconds, and we can see how it approached my question. It said, we're calculating market growth, we're estimating the audiobook market, we're assessing Sweden as a key Nordic country, and then we're tracking audiobook markets, mapping audiobook trends, Norway, Denmark, Finland. So it looked for trends and then assessed market dynamics, examining out in Iceland, noting that a small size, 10% annual growth. So it dug really deep to give me this answer. If I were to ask this to a 4.0 model, then it would provide an answer right away. Market size for audiobooks. I don't know what I did there. Why is it? Anyways, it provides an answer right away. And now it even provides with search, which is good. So it gives me references. But you see, it didn't go as thorough in terms of the research. It didn't tell me, oh, actually, to calculate the market size, I would start with Sweden, where I have data, and then I have some trends about Norway and Denmark and all of this. So we see that the O1 preview model can be used for market research, and it's very useful for more research level questions. Okay, I went a little bit longer there, but I think that was useful. I hope you think the same. I see Mickey says it's really new. I don't know if you're talking about O1 model. I think so. Okay, so next we're going to go into knowledge and custom GPTs. Thank you, Jenna. I'm happy that you are getting a lot from the talk. And yeah, Miguel, thank you so much. Cool. So let's go into knowledge and custom GPTs. A little bit going back to the monkeys image, knowledge is all the books around. Like what we want to have a very smart monkey working for us. So we want also to provide context. And the way we can provide context additionally to just prompting is in the simple side of things, attaching a file. Before this presentation, I downloaded here a file with the open roles at Altar. So I just went to the website, copied the open roles, or 2 or 3 of them, and put it into a text file. And if I want to build a system that screens CVs that we get at Altar and identifies who are the good candidates that I should be speaking to, then I need to give it context of what roles and what qualifications I'm looking for in each role. So that's what is in this text file. I can actually open it to share that with you. So it's just a text file and it's in Markdown, which now you cannot see because my face is in front of it. So I'll move myself back there. So it's in Markdown. So this is a header of a senior full stack developer and desired qualifications. And then we have senior backend developer, and we have senior project manager. And this is just copy pasted from Altar's website into a text file, and I provide it here. And I can say, I want you to help me screen CVs. Here are the roles I am looking for. So it managed to get the text file. It tells me, the roles that I have, these 3 ones. And then I could attach a CV. I downloaded a CV from just online, some random CV. And I can ask, is this CV does this person seem interesting as a candidate for any roles? So the first step would be being on the chat and playing with ChatGPT and seeing what it provides, right? No complicated prompting, to start. Just so that we understand the capability of knowledge. I can provide knowledge, I can provide the roles I have, I can provide the CV, and then it tells me has relevant web application development experience for the senior full stack developer. It doesn't talk about Node.js, which is really needed for this one. And also it says that there's no mention of specific agile methodology. So it doesn't seem like a very good fit, but also this type of answer is hard to process. I don't want to be passing here one CV at a time and reading all of this. So that's where custom GPTs come in. So what I would do in this case is that I would create a custom GPT And the way to do that is come here. I can explore GPTs and I can create. I can click here, create. And it shows me this little interface, and I can say you are a hiring manager GPT. Your role is to screen CVs and see, okay, and classify them. Instructions. Your role is to screen CVs and classify them according to whether they match a specific open role at Altar. So I'm doing this all here to show you the process, but yeah, I hope that's useful. So then you go into knowledge and you upload the file. I can upload the file of open roles, and I have conversation starters. Is this candidate qualified? And for now, this, I could go deeper into this prompt. I can generate a little image using DALL-E, and then I can interact with this GPT here on this preview. And that was the button I created. Is this candidate qualified? To evaluate, you'll need to provide a CV. And then I can go and provide a CV. Okay, I don't want it. I think it's crashing. Hopefully my browser will not crash. Let's see. Back. Explore GPTs, my GPTs. Okay, so I have this hiring manager GPT that I did today, and I have one that I did yesterday. I'm going to open the one from yesterday and show you what's inside. So hiring manager GPT, Altar hiring manager. Here I just used a role objective details, and I asked it to answer with interesting or not suitable and provide 3 bullet points of explanation. And now here, I don't know why, perfect. Okay. And here, if I provide the CV, I can provide a CV and say, is this candidate worth it? So it's searching the knowledge and it's answering not suitable and 3 bullet points of explanation. So this is CustomGPTs. I can use a prompt to tune how I want the response. If I delete this, provide 3 bullet points of explanation. Let's say I'm building a system that I just want the outcome to go to an Excel sheet and say suitable or not suitable, or interesting and not suitable. Then I don't want it to provide the explanation. I want it to just answer with this. So I can say answer only with interesting or not suitable. And if I update, it will, let's see, it's updating. Maybe I can interact with it. In the meantime, it says GPT updated. Okay. And then it just answers not suitable. So I can tune basically the output, and it's quite useful if I want a GPT that is particularly tuned for my use case, and it has knowledge. So reminder, what we are talking about is knowledge and custom GPTs. So having base knowledge so that the information that I'm getting from as an output is relevant to the knowledge I have in my company. And being aware of the time, I want to jump into Claude. So this was ChatGPT. We went into memory, custom instructions, canvas, search functionality, knowledge, and custom GPTs. There was one final custom GPT I wanted to show you, which was an accountant GPT, that just to show you one extra functionality, which is in this accountant GPT, the way it's set up, I have an action, which is a trigger to a webhook. This is a little bit more advanced. The people from the Mind Valley community will know this and have played with it. But basically what this does and what this allows is that I have an automation on the back of this, and I can upload an invoice to my accountant GPT, and I have downloaded here an invoice, which is, I think here, yeah. So I have this invoice, just random invoice for services from that I got online. And if I pass it this invoice and I say send to Airtable, it will trigger an automation. And if I show you my Airtable that I have here accounting Airtable with a couple records. And now if I confirm this, it's gonna send the information that it scrapes from this invoice, and it's gonna send it to my Airtable. So you see the level of automation that is possible with custom GPTs is that you can actually connect to what's called actions and have it trigger an automation. And we can see here, it extracted the data from the image invoice, which you could take a picture of an invoice you have at home. And then you would go, it extracted the sum, it extracted all this information, and it passed it to Airtable. So that's also pretty cool. I see that I'm running out of time. I don't know if people have a hard stop, but I'm going to go into Artifacts and Claude, and hopefully if you have a few more minutes, we will be able to keep going. So Claude and Artifacts. This is super cool, especially for coding. So if I open Claude's platform in the paid version, so you need a professional plan, which is, I think, $20 a month. It has a concept of projects, and projects are just kind of a folder where I store the things I'm working on. Let's say I put my image here, and I have projects. I click on projects, and I can create a new project. Give it a name, demo project. What are you trying to achieve? Demoing live Claude. And when I create a project, in the same way as with ChatGPT, and I shared before, I have custom instructions, which I can click here, set custom instructions, and I can tune how I want Claude to respond in the same way as I did with ChatGPT. And then I can also add content, and I see that my face is in front. So I can add content here on this button, and it allows me to upload from device or add a text content. So in the same way as I showed before, I can come here and upload the open roles text file and have that be context for this project. So that is one way of doing it. I'm going to delete for now because we don't need it. But what I really want to show you, here's the drop down that I showed before on the slides. What I want to show you is Artifacts, which is similar to ChatGPT Canvas. It's actually a predecessor of GPT Canvas. And it works really amazing with code. So I'll tell Claude that I wanted to build an app. So I want you, let's be direct. Build an app in React.js, which is a JavaScript framework that looks like Linktree, which is this famous links app. Build an app that looks like Linktree. Very simple. And I just said I want React.js, which is a framework. And much like Canvas, it opens a side window. And what it does is that it starts writing the code on the side. But the very cool thing, which blew my mind the first time I saw it, is that it not only writes the code, but then it runs the code and shows you a preview of what the application looks like. So I just built an application in React that looks like Linktree. It's pretty cool. And then I can ask it to have more functionality. I can say, I want a toggle button for dark mode on the top right corner. So I'm asking for extra functionality, and it simply rewrites the code, and then we'll rerun the code and we will see the new version of the app. So it's really, really amazing how, React is not the simplest framework. I've built a couple applications with React. It's not straightforward. It takes understanding quite a bit of concepts. And here in 2 prompts, I have a Linktree-like application with a toggle button that has a dark mode or light mode. This would have taken me easily like a couple days to just remember React again and build the application and put the components. And now I have a code base where all of this is done, which is really cool. And then I can publish it. I click publish and copy link, and it provides me a link that anyone can actually use. So if I paste this link here on the chat and you click on it, what you will see is that you will go into the application that I just built. And so you can play with the application. It's a functional application. Here I did not need to give it more information, but it is, so you see it's still not very useful. I would need to iterate more on it. And actually this is a good point, is that I love it to start building, but I still need a code editor, and I still don't think it's production ready. And that is something. So I really I had a aha moment of oh, this is amazing. But I then thought, okay, actually I can't build a production grade application here. And that's the limitation I see, which is you cannot edit this at the moment. You can ask it to improve or explain something. If I'm learning React and I say, and I want to understand how, what this is, I can come here, click explain, and it's going to explain. This is perfect for learning how to code. It explains me with examples. It's really neat for that. But if I want to create an application, actually ship it, I think this is still a little bit limited. And this came out before Canvas, and it was kind of the first release of something like this, which is really cool in terms of changing the user interaction with AI. But it is a little bit limited at the moment. I don't think it's going to take a lot of time for Anthropic to actually make this editable and continue iterating on it. So that's Artifacts. I took already a little bit longer. So I'm going to go back to the slides and just finish by saying that this was today's call. It was, I think, a good first step towards understanding how to leverage as a startup founder, how to leverage AI and what is out there, a good landscape review. I see Cosmina had to go. All good. But the point of this webinar series is to take you from this, me being a monkey, or taking you from this monkey that is in doing manual processes to a monkey that is in control of automations and has a full set of systems working on the background that is at a much more advanced level, where the automations work without so much of a manual interaction. And that takes us to the next call, which is the next webinar, which is going to be in 3 weeks. And I'm going to cover the second way of using an LLM, which is via APIs. And we're going to touch on make.com, which is an amazing tool for integrating different tools inside your business. It connects to CRMs, to your content platforms, to anything you can imagine. It has thousands of integrations, and it can integrate with ChatGPT and other AI tools, making it very useful to automate tasks in your business. So we're going to touch on that. And I'm going to share, if not more, I'm going to share at least a set of automations between Google Drive, Gmail, Google Sheets, and ChatGPT that could look something like grabbing 100 CVs that you have for a role, putting them into a Google Drive folder, and automatically having ChatGPT screen all the CVs, and on a Google Sheets give you a score of each candidate. It could look like having Gmail and having ChatGPT, every time you get an email, screen your emails and rank importance and put that in a spreadsheet. The most important emails, you get them on a spreadsheet, something like that. So I'm still going to build those automations. If you have any requests, do let me know in advance, and I will be happy to create some automations to share with you in a few weeks. And we're going to touch on more advanced topics like the APIs that OpenAI has, vector stores, fine-tuning, and JSON response, which is an API communication language. And that was it. That was me as a monkey going through different tools. I hope this was useful for many of you. And I'm open now to answering questions. I see there's a few questions in the Q&A. I'm sorry that I went, I think 8 minutes already over time, but I hope it was worth it and that you got a lot from this webinar. Before the questions, just letting you know, the sign-up page for the webinar in 3 weeks is already live. So if you want to continue attending these sessions, you can register already and then have that go to your email so you don't forget that the session is happening. And I'm going to be covering LLMs at scale. So the next step, how do you bring the automations that you saw today, and maybe something was useful, to a next level of having a lot of that work on the background. So that was it. And maybe Filipe, you want to come back for a second, then we go into questions.
Yeah, sure. So we have lots of questions there. I don't know if you want to start, Rui.
I see.
So to be fair with everybody, maybe take at least one question from each person. But yeah, we have some people.
Okay.
Lots of questions, so let's be fair, and then try, of course, answer all the questions. But it's a lot.
Okay, I see a question that could be for you, Filipe, which is how do you recommend a non-technical founder to find a technical co-founder with background in machine learning or Gen AI LLM? And we have an article on this.
Well, I'm not the expert, so you are, but I would fit definitely the definition of a non-technical founder. So there are several ways. Of course, I'm a little bit biased So probably I would talk with these guys from Altar to understand how I can work with them in my project, because they have this extended team, almost like an extended team of co-founders. And yeah, of course I'm biased, but I know that we have lots of really skilled people, especially in the AI world. So that would be an option. Of course, there are other options, not necessarily the easiest ones, but yeah, you can always try to find your own co-founder, which is hard to find, and even after finding some people that would fit, it's also hard to convince them to join you. But that's possible. You can do that through or offline or online meetups or events, and try to meet those people. Other option is, of course, try to hire those people. I wouldn't recommend that, especially with like a specific skill or role. But that's always an option. Of course, in that case, you need to pay to even a freelancer or outsourced team. So following that way or that path of working with someone from outside your project or your company, I would probably prefer to go to some kind of agency that has experience on working in this kind of projects.
So why I put the question to Filipe is because at Altar, what we do is we do technical co-founder as a service. But Rita, being in the shoes of so I have technical background, but it's still in my last startup I had to at some point focus on the business aspect, and I hired a CTO. It's never easy to delegate this technical aspect to someone. There's a lot of trust. You want to have someone that is very experienced, but then you need to prove that you deserve it in a way. No one will leave a job at OpenAI to come to your startup that has no traction, right? So, or that is just starting. So there is kind of a trade-off for the technical co-founder to do. What I've seen work, I've seen people, have technical co-founders which have lower commitment and can serve as a guide in the beginning. Here, it depends a lot on the stage of the business. For example, at Altar, we work with some, I would say, not so early stage companies. Sometimes like some we also build MVPs, but I think our typical customer has built an MVP, has some traction, and then we go and we build something that scales, for example. And we have a track record of launching 90 plus products, so that there's a bit of a learnings that come from one industry that we can apply in another industry. So we can continue to discuss this. I'm gonna, just for everybody's time, I'm gonna go into the next questions. I'll choose some questions that are particular to what we were discussing. I see a quick question to answer from Lana, who is asking, would OpenAI Playground be better to do it with a lot of CVs? Yes. So in the next webinar, we'll touch on the platform.openai, which is, today we touched on custom GPTs, but the next step is that you would build a custom GPT, you understand how it works, you're happy with it, but then you don't go and drag and drop every CV into there. What you do is that you copy those settings and you put it into an assistant, and that assistant is part of the OpenAI Assistant API. And then you send it, you have API requests to that assistant, and it provides you a similar response than the custom GPT. So yes, to your question, it is a better way to do it at scale, and we'll cover it in the next webinar. I see another question from Rita, which is when do I recommend ChatGPT versus Claude? At the moment, I have subscriptions for both, and there's kind of like a feature, like they're competing for markets, so they both have very good models. I've seen people say that the best models are from Claude, or I personally use ChatGPT a lot more than Claude. I have the subscription, and I haven't found enough use cases to go to Claude instead of ChatGPT. I guess because I got used to using ChatGPT, I started there, and it seems that it provides me with good enough answers. And then with the custom GPTs, it also allows me enough tuning, so I'm happy with it. I haven't used Claude as much. I know that some people are of the opinion that Claude has given them better responses. The aha moment for me with Claude was this artifacts feature that I just showed you, because it allowed me to build an application. I was like, damn, I will never start a React project from scratch again. now I have this amazing tool that I just type, okay, I want this type of application. Then it answers. And I'll tackle another question from Lana, which is, can it be used for building websites? And yes, so here in this case, I used React.js, which is a framework that was developed by Meta, by Facebook at the time, and this framework is used a lot for building web applications. So a lot of the websites you use today, you go to a link and it opens a website. A lot of the websites are HTML and CSS, but some are applications that are already, there are web applications. They're not actually website, they're a web application. And a lot of those are built with React.js, which is what I just showed you. One example could be Linktree, right? If I publish this Linktree app and I put it live, then you won't see it as a web application. You see, oh, this looks like a website. It has links. I can click on things. If you want something to be built on HTML plus CSS, it does it in the exact same way with Claude. Okay. I see Fernanda asking, can you share with us your accountant GPT? I can share that with you, Fernanda. And I think you might have already access to it, because I know you are part of the AI community at Mind Valley. So I know that we went over a similar use case there. So I think you already have access. Then what else? More questions. I see. How and with which LLM could we turn a web app into a native app for both iOS and Android? This is a very cool question. I really like it, Aymar. Very cool question. So you want to turn a web app into a native app for both iOS and Android. So what you're saying is that you want an LLM to understand your code and to then translate it into a different framework. It is an interesting task. I'm not sure if the LLM is going to do it perfectly, because it, applications depends on the complexity of the application. But let's say an application has 20 different pages with buttons that cross-link the different applications. Then it might be hard to replicate. It could be very easy to run into a bug, or to run into a feature that exists in one framework but doesn't exist in the other framework. Usually, if I want to build, so today, looking at the existing frameworks today, what I would do if I want to build a native app for both iOS and Android, I would use Flutter. I know that Flutter works with both. That's not my expertise. I'm more focused on AI than today building native applications. So I would go with Flutter, which allows me to deploy on both. It's what my technical peers here recommend, but I know that there's also other frameworks like iOS native and Android native frameworks. But that conversion, I would say it's not going to be direct and seamless. Especially the more complicated the application is. If you have a simple application and you want to create the application again in another framework, one way I would approach it is maybe do a feature list and do a pages list and provide that as context to building an application from scratch using something like Claude or here Claude is still a great start, but I don't think it takes you the whole journey. So maybe you can use these Claude artifacts to get you the start base of the application. And then I'll download that code, use the code editor, and then would use some other sophisticated tool like a Copilot or some code editing. I'm trying to remember the name. There's another tool, Curse. I don't use it daily, so it's a Cursor. Cursor is also another famous tool for coding with AI. So those would be good places to start. Okay, so what questions are still here too? I see, built on AngularJS, says AMR. So something built on AngularJS. Actually, Altar started off as an AngularJS hub. I think we were one of the leading AngularJS agencies in the world at a time. So this could be something to bring to the team. That I'm very focused on the AI aspect of things, but we have a strong team of developers who understand AngularJS and who understand other frameworks and have managed a lot of these requests. So Amar, this could be something to follow up on, and I think that would be an interesting conversation to have for sure. Okay. I see a question from Guillermo. Can you share newsletters or blogs you follow to keep up with new AI updates in the industry? I don't have any. At some point, I started following a bunch of newsletters, and then I had a full email. And now I just have on Twitter, I have some pages that I follow. So OpenAI's, Anthropics, I follow them on Twitter and LinkedIn. So the companies who release things I'm interested in, then I follow them, and I try not to follow a lot of other things so I don't have noise. So that's my strategy. And I see now a question from Yana or Jana. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. What would you suggest for writing a nonfiction book? Given that I provide 100% of my own original idea, but I need AI to turn it into a nice, flowing, well-structured book that is written in the same style and connected with no repetitions. It's a very long test, which seems to stress GPT out. So about a year ago, I was working on a project called Spark, which was a very interesting project, which was about helping experts write books with AI. And the strategy was that there would be a copywriter interviewing the author, and this interview would be transcribed. And the questions that the copywriter would come up with is like, okay, what are you, how is the storyline? Who's the main character? So it would be someone who's used to writing a lot of nonfiction books is interviewing a person who is, say, writing their first book, or in this case, it was nonfiction as well. So, and this interview would be transcribed, and then it would be passed to an LLM to first create. It would be an iterative process. So the model would not create a book right away, because that would bring a lot of possibility for error, but it would actually give first a structure. So there was a system that would ask for grab this transcription and then give a structure for the book with maybe one paragraph per chapter, and then you would go and tune that paragraph, and then when you were happy with the paragraph, you would go to an LLM and expand it. So in your case, what I would do, similar to the pitch deck idea I shared with Canvas, what I would do is create a prompt with the idea I have for the book. So this is a book about nonfiction. I don't know what's the topic, but let's say I am writing a book about using AI to conquer the world, and it's this or to heal the world, or to bring nature back into thriving. So if I choose a topic and I prompt it and I say, give me one paragraph per section of the book, then it's going to give me that paragraph per section. I can collaborate with ChatGPT on what each paragraph is gonna say for a storyline. Once I'm happy with that, I would copy, because you say that the context window might be small, that GPT stresses out if the text is too long. What I would say is that I would copy this portion of one section of the book, and I would start a new thread with Canvas and say, this is a chapter for a book. Here is all the book outlines. And you give it the storyline for the whole book, because you want maybe that as you're writing chapter 5, you want it to know that in chapter 1 something happened. Maybe there's some connection between chapters. Usually there is some connection. So I would have this outline of the book as part of my prompt for each chapter creation, and then I would go one chapter at a time, create it using ChatGPT and Canvas, and then once it's generated, I would iterate on it. I have found as well that I was writing an article which just came out yesterday, and I'm gonna share it soon, which is about these features and these functionalities. And I started with ChatGPT Canvas and say, I'm writing an article about this, and it gave me an article. And it turned out that I still wrote 80% of the content, but it didn't feel the same way as starting from scratch. I felt a lot more stuck starting from scratch than actually already having an outline and then saying, no, I actually don't like this. I want to say it this way. I want to say it this way. And in the end, I wrote a lot of the content, but it was still support from ChatGPT that it gave me somewhere to start, and it didn't feel like I was starting from scratch. It felt easier, and it gave me ideas and so on. So hopefully this was enough about book writing, and I'm excited to see what book comes out of this effort. And I think we're running very close to the end. I don't know, Filipe, if there's anything else you want to say. I'm just running through the questions.
No, it's up to you. If you want to answer one last question really quick.
Okay, I'll answer one last.
Yeah.
Okay, we want, besides summing. Okay, I see more questions from Rita. Besides summing all of the info on the right, what are the other benefits of using Canvas? So Rita, I don't know if you're still here, but it is useful because if you're using a thread, if you're using a normal chat, at some point the context window gets too big, or the thread gets too big, and in every prompt you do, you're passing not only that little prompt, but you're passing the little prompt plus all the text before. And what happens is that you get to a point where you start having ChatGPT forget some of the aspects that you already spoke. And this is called the needle in a haystack problem, where if you have too big of a context, remembering all the details becomes harder. And so what ends up happening in the end is that you have too big of a context window to provide good results, and you start having issues, and you start having ChatGPT forget things, and that's not good. So with Canvas, what happens is that context, you're referring to that blog post, and that's kind of like it's kind of an artifact. So Claude launched first Artifacts, and so OpenAI couldn't launch Artifacts, so they named it Canvas. But the idea of having something tangible that is like a piece of clay that I'm shaping in a certain way, and it's always the same piece of clay, and it's not. Whereas in the thread, it would be here I'm doing the piece of clay just the top, and then I'm expanding, and then I'm expanding, but it becomes a lot of complicated things. And I'm trying not to spill my coffee. But here, the idea of having only one piece of clay that you are working on, it is a simple and small enough context that it becomes also better in terms of the quality of the responses. It becomes more accurate. And yeah, I still see some people with us, so maybe we can go. Let's see the last question. In the very last question, we are a bit over time already. Let's see. What do you recommend to use when wanting? Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We've pasted the link for the next webinar. If there's follow-up questions, you have my contact. My email is rui.vaz@altar.io. I'll paste that in the chat. If you have any follow-up questions that I wasn't able to answer by now, I would be very happy to send you an email response. And for now, I just want to thank you all for being here and for your attention, for staying these 90 minutes. It has been really exciting for me to launch this webinar series. And thank you, Filipe, for joining me on this one and being so supportive of this initiative. And I think we'll wrap it up for today. Do show up for the next one. I am very excited to keep doing these, and the more interest there is, the more we'll put efforts into making great content. And keep.
Thank you, Rui. And also just to share with everybody, I know that we should have shared this before, but you're gonna receive an email by tomorrow with a replay of this session. So I know that someone asked that, so expect that. And yeah, of course, sign up for the next webinar. It's in 3 weeks. You have the link there. So we'll be waiting for you. And yeah, thank you again, Rui, and see you soon.
Thank you all.